Hi, I'm Josh McGrath.
I'm Andrew Haas.
And this is the Ardent Pursuit Podcast.
And I remember thinking at that time, I'm just going to ask her questions. And I think that was the first time where I kind of pivoted off of like that kind of weird soulish thing that I was kind of walking through, like just trying to identify where I'd been that year, meaning just kind of give it to the Lord. She was coming. I thought, she's a cool girl. We're getting along. Mm-hmm. Let me at least just ask her questions. Let me really try to dive in and see where she's at. And I think on the flip side, she was just willing to answer any question I asked. So it was like bop, 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 bop. And we just started flowing and talking and processing. And that night, I don't know what we did. We all went out to, we just hung out in groups. It was fun. And so I was really in. I said, you know what? This girl's the real deal. And I'd be a moron not to pursue her. I mean, she's beautiful, but it wasn't just her beauty that attracted me. It was just it continues to be her absolute passion for running hard for Jesus. And that just flowed out of her life. It was flowing out of what we talked about. And I was like, wow, this girl's amazing.
Yeah.
I mean, like, I still think that's so cool. How did I get you? I was a lonely bowler.
It's that bowling ball, I'm telling you.
Okay. So I was really purposed. I said, I'm gonna really. It was really probably the real initial part of my pursuit. I mean, where I was like, I'm gonna just ask her questions. I'm gonna be there. I'm not gonna be. I mean, I'm pretty good at reading. Like when I'm not welcome.
Yeah.
I could read that. So she was definitely welcoming my conversation.
Sure.
She was not at all. It was very, very enjoyable. I just loved chatting and talking and processing. God bless my sister. She was there for the whole part of this.
Yeah.
I mean, she was there like sit in the bench with us as we just chatted about life. And I'm really grateful for third wheels. I think they somehow become like victims, and no, they're actually a tremendous gift.
Yeah.
And to these things, because I really needed it. As it related to just the pursuit, though, I definitely knew my dad. I think my dad even said something like, "What are you, nuts? Of course, go after. Why wouldn't you go after this girl?" And so that meant a lot to me. And my brother was a thumbs up. So, and just trying to navigate it, but I hadn't talked to my pastor yet, and that was a big deal. Partly because I don't know. I wanted to. It doesn't matter, but my pastor. The reasons in my heart of why I didn't talk to him, I was like, it was kind of all erupting in those moments of my own like pursuit. Yeah. So I remember I was going away. It was a Sunday. I think it was a Sunday. I was leaving that day I was going to go skiing for a couple of days.
It was New Year's.
Well, I came back on New Year's. Yeah.
You left on the 30th.
Yeah, this is actually pretty special because I came back that night. This is actually pretty awesome. Just for me and you. And, so I left. It was a couple days before New Year's, and I went away. And my purpose was, I'm going to pray about that. I want to know if this is the Lord. But before I go, I don't want to go without my pastor's blessing of what do you think. So I remember just that day. It was simple. I just said, "Hey, I'm considering really pursuing this young lady, but I think honestly, in life, for me, what's been a huge help to me is having people that have veto power and listening to people that have veto power. Meaning there's people that watch my blind spots, you know what I'm saying, and have my back. It's hard because like I try to staff those people with truth tellers. Yep. But it's really hard because when they do tell you the truth, it's not always what you want to hear. Painful. So I was a little afraid of what, like, you know what I mean? Like what he might say. And he was like all in. He's like, oh, absolutely. She's an amazing, because he had met her at that point and connected with her. Amazing young lady. And, and it was such a release. So I went away and I was like, I don't even know why I'm praying about it right now. But I just needed, so I fasted and skied. That's what I did. And I saw signs everywhere. Like everywhere. It's like, like the sign, like a mobile gas station. I was like, well, if you take that letter and you put it over here and you put that says her name somehow. Like it was hard not to get her off my mind. And I was like, so I remember I went skiing. I was there, brought a friend with me, and we were just skiing. I was like, I got to go back home. So it was on New Year's Eve. I drove home from that area all the way. She was at my house with my parents. I didn't live there. I had an apartment, but I was going back to my parents' house to celebrate New Year's. And I think I got there like 5 minutes after New Year's.
Something like
that.
Yeah.
It was right in that range. And And I felt like I needed to ask deeper questions. And she was engaging, so I was really pumped. So we got there, we had New Year's, and then now it's New Year's Day, New Year's morning, and so it's the middle of the night. But my sister hung with us, and we just sat in the living room. I sat in one couch.
Falling asleep.
She sat in one couch. You know what I mean? We just talked.
No way.
And I just was asking her, what do you think about family? What do you think about this? What do you think about this? And it was clearly like I was like deeply engaged. And I wasn't like, I was like, but I was just enjoying the conversation. I was like, all right. At some point we wrapped it up. Said, see you tomorrow. I went home. And then
I'm going to pause you here.
Yeah.
Before he left, I realized, okay, this is different. He is actually asking me questions. He's actually hanging out with us, whereas the previous times that I had visited, he didn't seem interested. So I thought, I need to tell my parents. So I emailed my parents, and I said, okay, I want you to know, I have no reason to think that he's interested in me, but I feel like I need to tell you where my heart is at. And I think that I could become interested in him. And so I want to make sure that I submit this to you guys and that you tell me. Because if you tell me no, I will not let my heart get involved.
Wow.
And if you tell me yes, then I will know. My mom responded just because of the nature of my family's dynamic, but my dad was like, sure, go ahead, get married. But my mom was like, well, we have entrusted you to a family there. Submit to anything that the pastor and his wife say to you. And I said, oh, okay.
That's great advice.
Yeah, it was helpful. And that next day we were at my other sister's house. We were having like New Year's Day celebration. It was we were all hanging out together, and I remember it was so funny. I was talking to my brother, and I said, "Yeah, I'm in. I want to pursue this. I want to go all in." And I was definitely fishing like a little bit here and there to people. Like, do you think she likes me? Like, what do people think? So I don't want to be rejected. You know what I'm saying? I don't want to. Of
course.
But yeah, it's like, but guess what has to happen? You got to put yourself out there. So I remember we had this great conversation. My brother's like, yeah, you got to tell her. You at least got to tell her that you're interested in, that you're pursuing. Let her know your intentions. Make it clear because it's important to do that. And and we were chatting about this. And he goes, the only thing, I remember he was like, yeah. And he goes, the only thing is, and I was like, yeah. He's like, we got no idea what she thinks. And I'm like, that's so true. and to her credit, she didn't go telling everybody.
Yeah.
She found a few mentors just to guard her heart. Because you start telling people too, then you catch,
you get trauma and emotions. And
we were like, let's serve.
Actually, your sister tried to but there was a conversation before where she was like, who I think would be great? Like you guys would be great together. And I said, I don't want to know.
Wow.
I don't want you to tell me.
Yeah.
And she was like, why? I said, because it isn't fair to either one of us.
Right.
If it is not a thing, you may have put hopes in my heart that were meant to be there. And if it is a thing, you are getting ahead and telling me something that should be his to say.
Yep.
That's good. Not yours.
Yeah.
So she was like, oh, okay. So mostly, I think what I just didn't want anybody to read into anything. Sure. I didn't want anybody saying anything. It had to be God in every possible way.
Yep.
You knew I was fasting. You fasted too.
So I knew he was going to go and pray and fast. And that morning I woke up and I really felt the sense of fasting as well.
Wow.
So I fasted. But no, I didn't know you were fasting. I knew you went away because I got up that morning and I said to my mother-in-law, I said, I think I'm just going to fast today. And immediately she and my sister-in-law were kind of like giddy and like saying things to each other. And she's like, oh, no problem. Like, I'll get you some ginger ale and, whatever. And I thought, oh, he's fasting too. And so I sat there with my journal and again, you're fasting because he's fasting about you. Wow. He's fasting and praying.
So when I came back and we were again, she was hanging with my family, so it was pretty convenient to hang out with her. I mean, it was definitely useful, the situation. So at some point, that day, I didn't know when I was going to talk with her. I knew I wanted to make things clear because I'd asked probably every question I possibly could have imagined at that point.
Yep.
Right.
And I was pretty comfortable and confident. Boy, I like her. I like her nature. I like her heart. I mean, you know, we had spent a lot of time together too, just in hanging out, playing games, watching movies and stuff like that, you know, with groups of people.
Sure.
And so, and I got that thing, my brother, like, yeah, you should, but we just have no idea what she thinks. And I was like, yeah, that's going to be a problem. You know, this is going to be, I was so nervous. So at some point we were having dinner at my sister's house and everybody disappeared into the other room to
Everybody
watch.
was going to go put kids down.
No, they were watching, well, they ended up watching the movie.
After they put kids to bed.
Yeah, two things I remember that there was a band on the CD playing Keila Rain, an old Irish band was playing over. I mean, that CD probably, when we sat there, we at least played twice through. We sat there a long time. They watched A Beautiful Mind. You know what I mean? The movie, I think it was A Beautiful Mind with that was a movie, wasn't it?
Yeah, Russell Crowe.
Russell Crowe. They were watching that, which I'd wanted to watch, but I had more important things because we were in the kitchen.
Missed the movie.
Yeah, we were in the kitchen at the table in the kitchen. They had a kitchen table, and so I just never forget. It was like suddenly it just became clear. Now I didn't go to her parents first. That was something I wanted. I'd actually wanted to figure that out. I actually didn't know what to do because she was from Guatemala. I had no.
That's a very unique situation.
I was like, I don't know what to do here.
Yeah.
So I remember I just wanted to say, hey, I'm interested in. So I'll just tell you what I said. So I was like, so we were talking, yeah, hey, everything's cool, you know, bowling, all this stuff, you know, and then at some point I was like, can I talk to you about something? I mean, I literally felt like it was that hard to get out of my mouth. I was like choked up. And so she says, we're talking. Like, you know, yeah. And I, you know, the words, you know, what I said, I basically said, hey, I'm really interested in you. I'm interested in pursuing something further. I don't know if you're interested in that. I don't know if I'm, you know, I don't know what to do here. You know, I really like you. I think you're amazing. You know, those type of things, and just try to speak my mind and and bring clarity to what I was thinking.
Yeah.
I really was interested. I don't know how to make this next step. It's messy, ish, but it wasn't messy. We're in a really, really good place in you know, where we're at. And I remember the first thing she said. First thing she goes, I don't want it this way. I didn't want it this way. And I remember,
No
yeah,
want this.
I didn't want this. And I was like.
Hold together, man. Hold together.
Oh, I definitely was like, I don't know what this means. I mean, I was so nervous, you know what I mean? And and it was so what a weird moment. And so she immediately said, no. I want my parents have the keys to my heart, you know. And she goes, just so you know, I've already emailed my mom yesterday. I'm waiting for a response from her. Because I hadn't gotten a response. You hadn't got the response yet.
No
so
way.
she's like, I'm waiting for a response. I said, well, what'd you tell her? She says, I told her that this is kind of happening, but there's no clarity till right then.
Sure.
And it was amazing. The minute clarity, it was like, pah. It was amazing. And you know, even just in the discussion and talking, are you willing for this pursuit? Yes, I'm willing, but it's gonna go through my mom and dad. You know what I mean? That's it. And I was like, yeah, I want that.
Of everything you said,
Yeah.
what really, really just cinched it for me was he said, just to be clear, I'm interested in marriage.
Yeah, I did. I was pretty.
I'm not interested in wasting your time or mine.
Oh, that's awesome.
And I was like, okay, this is the first time
Wow.
anybody has
cry about
been-
that. I was
has-
like, well done, Ben. I guess I was pretty
let's
strong. Again, don't say that to every girl you meet. You know what I'm saying?
He had learned.
It was the 18th time I had said it.
but it's going to work eventually.
The good news, I wasted nobody else's time. Everybody else is like, no, I'm good.
Here's your bowling ball back.
Yeah, exactly. No, it really meant a lot to me. She was so and is so special. I was like, I'm not playing games with you.
Yeah.
I'm not.
That's
I'm
awesome.
done. I want to honor you as a person. I think you're amazing, and I remember saying that.
Yeah.
And so within an hour, the message came from your mom. Right? Or that day?
That night,
That night?
because we didn't have phones or any way to access email.
No, I thought we
until
got. No, we had email on her Dee's computer in that backside room. I remember because I made sure we hooked it up to make sure you checked the email.
He wanted to know.
I wanted to know.
Refresh.
So her,
So they said to submit
to her pastor.
Yeah.
But I love just steps. It was like, okay, there's a step here.
Yeah.
So my brother says, hey, good news. So she sees that.
So I think, okay, so we have some time because he's like 5 hours away.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So
he's far
I
away.
have a few days to just kind of
Process it all.
process this. Yeah.
So so my brother's like, hey, good news. I hear he's coming down to the Capital District, and like this is I don't know, Wednesday, Friday, like 48 hours from there. You know
No
what I'm saying?
way.
And her birthday was like in the middle of those 2 days
Right.
too. The on the 2nd. So sure enough, you know what I mean. So my brother gives me her pastor's number. I text him or I called him. I don't
You
know what
called
it is.
him.
I called him. I said, hey, I heard you're coming down. I'd like to meet with you if that's okay. I'd like to talk to you about some things. Yeah, sure. He gave me an appointment right there. We met at Crossgates Mall, and
No way.
Yep, and it was a bad snowstorm that day.
Yes.
And so it was a bad snowstorm, and he comes around the corner. He was wearing like a big it wasn't a cowboy hat, but it was like an Indiana Jones type hat he was wearing at that time.
Yep.
And so he came around, and we had at the food court. We sat down, and he pulls out a big yellow pad of paper, and that just his way. And so we began talking about her, about the pursuit, about where I was at. Now he was for me the gatekeeper to the pursuit. Like her family trusted him to make decisions.
Yeah.
So one of the things, and what's interesting, I didn't ask this question. I should have, I think, later looking back, because he answered it. But he said, hey, just so you know, before we go any further, she's lived, speaking of her, he goes, she's lived with me for, I think at that point, 3 months. 3 months, I think that, and he goes, I have zero things to say of negativity about her. I think she's a wonderful young lady. So it was like, I realized later, his opinion even of her as in life would matter to me.
Yeah.
And I just, but I felt like I knew everything I needed to know. But he shared that with me, and that really helped me. I was like, wow, that's even another layer of of people that are just
affirming.
and we're caring for each other, and we're caring for her, and all that stuff. So we began processing some things of he was helping me process. Here's some good possible next steps. He goes, I think you should write her family an email, because of course it was her father is deaf. Her mom doesn't speak English. It's a hard barrier. There's a language barrier and barrier there. He goes, but you can write an email, find somebody, and there was a guy I knew that could, because I don't want her to translate the document. I wanted to find somebody else so I could have a private conversation with her, at least say, hey, here I am. I don't know. I just want to introduce myself. How do I? If they were in here, I'd go meet them.
Yeah.
So we were chatting about all this stuff about, but it gave me next steps. It was like kind of layered. At that point, I didn't have my passport. He recommended that I get my passport right away. I was like, oh yeah, that's like totally genius. You know what I'm saying? Like, this might matter.
You're
You know what I'm saying?
brilliant.
I was like, and,
He recommended you give up bowling.
that didn't come up. So funny. So then we chatted, and then if you remember what she said, she was part of an internship where she had made a covenant for no
Exactly.
romantic
So this is kind of awkward.
Right.
So then it kind of hits this wall. So
He pulls out the contract and he's like, well, now she signed this thing.
Exactly.
Yes.
So I said, listen, so after all that, and I said, so can I write her or call her? You know what I mean? Because I want to walk under submission. I'm a grown man. I mean, I can do whatever I want, but I've walked wherever I wanted, and it hasn't always led me to good places. I'm living under submission to the people around me. So I said, can I? And she's signed a covenant. Or a commitment to that. To I think it was to April 1st, March 1st. March 1st was the commitment. So, but this was like January 3rd now. You know what I mean? So I said, can I And he goes, no, don't call her. He goes, but what you can do. He goes, is anytime, make the trip up, or if she's coming down, find opportunities to spend time, in the group settings with her. He goes, I'm not, I just don't know if the phone will help you right now. And I was like, that's probably wisdom. He goes, so prioritize, and I thought, okay. I mean, to me, he could have said anything. Honest to me, it was like, oh, I had a prize in mind. I was like, I was all in. And so So, I was really excited. I mean, I told everybody, you talked to me at that point. That's all I would have talked about. You know what I'm saying? Like, oh, I'm so excited. She's amazing. All this stuff. I'm getting my passport. You know what I'm saying? All this stuff. I actually, at that point, I had a little bit of debt. I got out. I worked hard right away to remove my debt.
Awesome.
It was just maybe like $1,500 at that point that I bought a video camera that I missed the payment on, and it caught up with me. Anyway, but paid that off. Like, it was not the bowling ball.
That was already paid for.
It was. Oh, I got that.
Full ownership.
And so it was right around the middle of January that month where I think I'd seen you at maybe an event in Saratoga.
Events,
I trust me. I found ways to go visit, and suddenly I found ways to make the trek. But my pastor where I lived in where I was serving, he said to me, he said, my son is going to be traveling through Guatemala. His son was part of a missions team going through Mexico and down through Latin America. He goes, he'll be in Guatemala in April. Mm-hmm. And he said, we're there looking at the calendar. He goes, how about you and I go to Guatemala? He goes, we'll meet her family.
No way.
And you can, what a generous move, man. You know what I'm saying? And he goes, we'll see my son.
Yeah.
Wow.
And the other thing was my visa expired. So I had to travel back to Guatemala before I could come back in.
Oh, no way.
So I went down and I put all my papers together to go give my pastor a report. And I met with him and he's like, so how are you doing? How are things going? I'm like, great. This is, I've been working on this. Yeah. Is anybody interested in you?
No way.
Yeah. I said, well, yeah, there is somebody interested in me. Okay, tell me about him. Okay, give me his information. I'm going to invite him to come preach to the youth.
Really?
In April of that year.
So this is all going on.
So everything is like
it's kind of just lining up. So and March 1st comes around. I'll say, so now it's not April yet, but March 1st comes around and I'm like, I want to pursue courtship. I want permission to take the next step. You know, I'm kind of, to call her.
Chomping at the bit.
Yeah, I am. I'm just feeling like this. But I hadn't met her family yet and all that stuff. So I did, but I'd been emailing her mom and stuff like that. We were emailing back and forth. And I was like, so I remember asking hey, can I court her? Can I pursue, call her and stuff like that? And I think she said, let's wait till we meet. I don't know, however she said, I'd rather meet you first. You know what I mean? I said, okay. That I'm going to honor that. Now, the pastor you lived with, he did say, hey, you had no calls, unless you have any calls about the trip. So let's just say...
Suddenly you were very interested about this trip.
Well, the trip and what I was going to wear, the weather,
And then you'd forget some of the stuff.
I didn't write that down yesterday.
Can you remind me again?
When we spoke this morning for an hour, that wasn't that bad, but I definitely took advantage of those phone calls.
I love it.
And definitely pursued that way.
Yeah.
And then I flew to Guatemala with my pastor, and I was by myself. She was still here in the States.
Did she know? Oh, she knew you were going.
She knew I was going.
To meet her family?
To meet her family. Okay. Her family was going to pick us up at the airport.
Wow.
So I'll never forget your family picks me up. I mean, I was so nervous. And it was, and when I walked in the house, and the image I have, and you know what it is, it's the line of people and Mamita, her grandmother, standing at the end of the room. You know what I mean? Standing, and she had back issues.
Yeah,
so she was very stiff.
She wore a corset.
Yeah, so she was very strong and you know what I mean? Mm-hmm. Kind of, and I walked right up to her, and I think she knew this. Because I think she told you later. Because her mom and dad were a little, not her dad, but her mom was a little bit more. Let's wait, well, I'll explain this, but her mom was, your grandmother, everybody's he's it. He's the one.
No way.
I called while he was there, and my mom wasn't really giving me anything. My mom wasn't really talking to me. And I understand now, for her, saying yes to this was saying yes to me leaving. And so the difficulty of that. Now, I didn't know this, but my pastor had talked to my mom long before I signed up for the internship. And he said to my mom, she needs to marry an American in ministry.
No way.
Mm-hmm. He never told me.
Whoa.
He said to my mom, you want to see her married? I don't think there's anybody here for her. I think she needs to marry somebody in ministry, and you need to let her go. And my mom submitted. But again, my dad being deaf and everything, he's been there, but the relationship is different.
Sure.
So my dad hasn't necessarily been the father figure that has like, you know, he has provided for me. He has been there for me. I have a very high respect and admiration for him for what he has accomplished being deaf. But those nuances of relationship, of being a dad and releasing me and walking me through this, that wasn't there for him. And that's where God provided men throughout my life. And I can look back now and see the different men between uncles and my pastor that God provided. So he was able to speak to my mom and say, this is how you need to navigate this. And I never found this out until much later after we were married. He never actually told me.
Whoa.
And my mom didn't tell me either. So I called the house, and my grandma picked up. And I talked to my mom, and she was very, you know, she wasn't giving me anything. And I was like, Mom, like, what do you think? And she was just, you know, very, maybe cold. And then my grandma got on the phone, and I said, what's going on there? I said, what, like, my mom's like kind of coldish, what's going on? And she said, oh, honey, don't even worry about it. This is the guy I've been praying for your whole life. This is the guy I've been praying for.
So that first day we sat there with my pastor, my pastor sat with us. He was only with us for a day. But that first day he sat and he kind of spoke on my behalf to the family, which I really appreciated. I mean, even like right now, I'm like, wow, what a gift.
Yeah.
He just said, I want to speak, and he's honorable. He's been serving alongside of me. He's a good man. And her brother was interpreting for us and doing that work. So then her mom shared, you know, the reality of like, you know, every guy that's ever entered her life, we've prayed, they've gone away. Like, it's like not the guy. We've asked the Lord to try to, and he goes, and now you've come. You know what I mean? Like you've come into the home. And what I realized really quickly and through all of our conversations that week was, it was about the moving away. It was about taking, and the idea that saying yes to me, it was costly to their relationship.
Yeah.
And even now, you know, in life, we still ache over this part of the journey.
Yeah.
It's a cost that doesn't go away.
It doesn't. Yeah. So we pay it regularly, and her more than me. You know what I'm saying? Because it's a distance that we can't easily traverse. But that being said, so Keila and I weren't official. But I mean, to be totally honest with you, we were both adults that had definitely spoken where we were at. We knew where we were at, why I was there. Yeah. It was pretty clear. And but I hadn't said like I love you to her or anything like that. It wasn't like we had those type of conversations. It was very, very guarded because I really wanted to walk this through. But I do remember the first time I ever told anybody that I loved her was to her mom in Guatemala.
No way.
So her mom said to me, you know, she says, do you love her? I'm trying to impersonate her. I'm sorry. I was impersonating poor mom. I'm sorry, Pita. And I said, yeah. I remember just that question of like, yeah, I do. I really do. And then she had and then before we left, so like right before I left, we had a very, very, it was a crazy week. But the details are not as important as just their building relationship with their family. Her brothers thought I was crazy. You know what I'm saying? Like, I mean, they would like, I can't believe you're doing this, man. Yeah. And I was like, but it was worth it.
And my brothers were even like upset at my mom. Like, why are you making him do all this? Like, why are you doing this? Like, she's an adult. He's an adult. Just let them be.
I didn't care though, because I was like, yeah, but I know the prize. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. So like, yeah, I'll jump through the hoops. I mean, like to me, it was the long game. You know what I'm saying? I knew where I was going. Yep. And so we were at the airport with your mom to drop me off, and she said to me, you know, she said, there's stuff I don't like about this, meaning the America, you know, the fact that my daughter, if I say yes to this, the direction is the United States. Oh, and I met your pastor that week. There was a lot of stuff I preached in youth. There was a lot of stuff I did that week. It was fun. It was a great week. But her mom said there's a lot of stuff I don't like, and that the distance is going to be the main thing. And she says, but yeah, you may pursue You may continue to pursue my daughter. In some ways, it was like a permission for courtship, but we were already kind of like being weighed to the people around us, looking at us and kind of waiting. I say courtship. When I mean courtship, it's a process of where I invite people into our relationship to say yay or nay.
Yeah.
Pre-engagement. Like I want people's opinion, and because I don't trust myself, frankly, I'm gonna be, So in some ways, the permission even from her mom and dad was take this, you pursue this towards marriage. So this is like mid-April of that year.
Yeah.
And so then I'll just continue to walk it forward because I think it's interesting, and we'll so we. I remember I landed. I was at JFK. I was at the airport, and this is I shared this story recently. It's just interesting to me. I did have a candy bar cell phone, an old candy bar thing that cost me like a lot of money to use. You know what I mean? Like, put the little antenna up. Boop, 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 boop. And so I landed and I called her. I had permission. You know what I'm saying? Like I was like, yeah. So I remember I called her and I said, and this is that part where the train. Where I said, and so I landed and I said, hey, I really had a great time, but now I see the cost. I see what it's going to cost you.
Yeah.
If you want off the train, this is the time. If it's not God,
Yeah.
I mean, for me, I'm all in. I'm all in. But you know what? I respect you. It would be really hard. I can see it. And she said, "I'm all in, Ben."
Wow.
And so let's continue to press us forward.
And that was also very important to me that he was like, I know what you're leaving. And he said, it has to be God for you.
I didn't want her to make it God, like Ben said. Yeah.
He was like, I don't want you to turn around 10 years from now and resent me for what you're giving up. It
That's
has
wise.
to be God for you.
Yeah.
But at this point, everything that I have seen, it's God.
Wow.
It is God. So
Yeah. So
it is God.
Yep.
I believe it's God.
So now we're not yet engaged now, but we're definitely moving towards this. This is now the process is the train's moving.
Yeah.
And
it's gaining speed quickly.
It's gaining speed. Now the reality is she's in the States at this time. She's in the States on a tourist visa. And it's not legal for me to me just marry her here. Like we weren't even engaged yet, but there was a lot of dynamics that we were like, all right, if this is the Lord, we can do this. Everything's going to have to check out the right way. Like every step of the process. I'm not going to play any games with law or legality. We're going to honor this as being the Lord. It's going to be the Lord or it's not the Lord. And we both felt it was the Lord. So I remember her mom came up for her ending of the internship graduation time. So
and we went and spent a couple of weeks with his family.
With my family. So we all got to hang out. And at that point, I went and got a ring and got a ring at the store. She didn't know this. Not at the store. I mean, this place nearby. She actually, it is a store. It's like,
oh, let's be honest. You got it in the gumball machine.
No.
You kept putting in quarters till you got the big one.
It was actually kind of fun. The lady, they're so generous. She gave me a couple rings to take home.
No way.
To go show people to see. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I was able to take them home and show them, and then we bought one of them. And the plan that I made at that point was I wasn't going to propose till she was back in Guatemala. So she was going to travel back to Guatemala, and I was going to surprise her. I had this big. It
was a big deal for my Latin American parents that he came to my house and asked for my hand in marriage, and I left from my house with my wedding dress.
Well, and that was in my heart. It was my idea. So maybe that was your parents. Your mom never put that on me, but I think it was.
My dad said, "Hey, if it's more convenient for you to get engaged there, like just go for it." But my mom was like, "No, he has to do everything right. He has to come to your house, to your parents, to your dad, and ask for your hand in marriage."
Well, so I had this sweet idea. So what I ended up doing, so I told her, I said, "Listen, just go to Guatemala."
Yeah.
And I was planning on right afterwards to come down.
Yeah.
So
it was kind of strange because my mom and I went down to Florida to visit my aunt, and at this point, like I am getting married, but we're not really engaged because we're already filling out paperwork for the engagement, the fiancé visa.
So you hadn't proposed.
I hadn't proposed.
No.
But you're like taking steps as if you had.
Yes.
So he's already talked to my mom.
Yeah.
They had like meetings where I wasn't there.
Yes.
And I was just in for the ride. So my mom's like, "Let's go find a wedding dress."
Oh my.
Yeah.
And I was like,
What?
Am I engaged?
Yeah.
Like, this is so weird. And she's like, "Well, it's going where it's going.
Yeah.
So let's just go get it.
No
so I left
way.
Florida with a wedding dress.
Are you serious?
No engagement ring, but I had a wedding dress.
Yeah. So that was her mom and her in Florida. I didn't know that.
gosh.
Maybe you told me. I don't know. But I was in. So this is the fun story. So this is a fun part of it. So I really always wanted to do a really cool engagement, right? And this is pre-proposal engagement. Yeah. Proposal. So what I did was I because we're so far away, I wanted her to think that she's going to receive a package from me from the States with a video where I propose on this video. And so and then have part of the package would be the ring. So basically I filmed this whole video where
With the camcorder that you owed $1,500 on.
Yes.
that is the exact same.
Come on. Comes in handy, clutch.
Bring it back around. So I go. So the video is, and I actually could show you this at some point. I'm not here, not to your podcast, but the video ended up making it on like TLC.
No way.
Yeah, a couple times. It was online on TV.
It's awesome.
So anyhow. But what I did is, so I went to the places where I'd met her. I went to like the church where we met. I went to my sister's house and kind of recreated the scenes of when some of the stuff we shared here today. And I do it on video. And the idea is that she's going to watch this video in Guatemala. And then at the end of it, I'm standing there in front of all my church and family. We're all there together. And I say, Keila, I wish I could be there with you. I can't be there. I love you with all my, I love you. And and I start looking for, like, I'm going to look for the ring on the video. And I was like, I can't find the ring. Anybody know where the ring is? Can't find the ring. And they're like, I don't know where the ring is. So then I do some crazy things in the video looking for the ring. And finally my friend says, have you tried Guatemala? And I was like, you know what? I haven't been there yet. And at that point, I was already there. I'd secretly flown in. She had no idea. I secretly flew into I was in the back bedroom. So on the video, I walk off, same outfit, right? Walk on, and her uncle at that point was under the table with that same camcorder. You know what I mean? Like videotaping me coming out.
The video is really bad because he was hiding under the table. Yeah. I didn't know when the video is playing. I'm like, why are they showing me this right now?
Yeah. So when she's watching the actual video, she's like trying to figure out why they're showing it.
So my uncle was hiding under the table taking video of this.
So then, we captured it all, and then so I come out and I wrote a poem in Spanish for her and proposed, and she said sí, and and so then I was only there for a couple days in Guatemala that visit, but the process we had started. The pursuit was all these things were part of our pursuit, for the art pursuit, whatever. Yeah. So as we were really processing, but part of it was through the channels of visa, because we were she did not have a visa. She had a tourist visa, but she didn't have it. What we were looking for was what's called it was at the time, I don't know if it still is, a K1 fiance visa, which was a visa that allowed her to come to the States and to get for the sole purpose of getting married within 90 days.
Yeah.
But basically, when I came into the country with my tourist visa, I am telling the government, I'm here to visit and I'm going to go back home.
Yeah.
You can trust me to go back home.
Yep.
And I have it, and they have vetted me. I have a job. I have commitments. My whole family's there, so they can trust me that I'm going to go back.
Right.
When I went for the interview for the fiancé visa, the first thing they did was cancel my tourist visa, because now I told them I'm interested in marrying somebody there.
Right. Yeah, and their job, I think their job was they're going to protect me.
Yes.
From somebody just looking for a visa.
Yeah.
And so I had to submit a lot of paperwork in order for them to, do their due diligence to protect me from Keila. So as we waited,
I'm also filling out paperwork on my end and submitting it to the embassy.
So we were definitely nervous because we recognized all this stuff. The pursuit, the romance, all this stuff, it's coming down to some person that works at the embassy in Guatemala to whether or not they give her permission to come marry me.
I have heard, at this point, I've heard every horror story. I had friends tell me, don't bother. I had the whole wedding planned. We had paid for our venue. Everything was paid for. The interview at the embassy never came. And we had to lose all of that money. And I ended up entering the country as a tourist anyway, and we got married that way. It's better to ask for forgiveness than ask for permission. I had influential people say to me, everybody does it this way. Just go and get married, and then you fill out all the paperwork and everything. But one of the things that I have always respected in Ben is that he he will not lie. And he was like, I am not lying. You are never entering this country saying you're going to be a tourist and then getting married and saying, oh, never mind. We're never doing that.
I felt like
I'm not going to lie to the government. I'm not going to lie. If they want our money, then they can take our money. If this is all a big conspiracy, then we will know that this is not God. But we will do everything.
Or I would just move to Guatemala, which that was in the cards. That was an option. It was not. It was an option.
Yeah. So we in a step of faith, we went to the website. We read everything.
I didn't hire a lawyer either.
No,
I felt
we
like if
didn't
I
do a
just
lawyer.
like fill out what they want me to do and pay them what they wanted to be paid, it's going to work out.
I had a relative of my mom who was an attorney in some other state say, oh, you're going to have so many fines. You're doing it wrong. That's not how you do it.
Yep.
But we were like, this is what the website says.
Yeah, we did it the right
that's
way.
what we're going to do.
So she finally got an appointment at the embassy. And the other thing that is also involved, I would say just a step of faith, is they say you have to get a physical by one of a couple approved doctors in Guatemala. I don't know anything about these doctors, but it's not a great situation for a young female to go to a random doctor that has your future in their hands. And we heard horror stories about that situation.
Oh, wow.
So those things were also
I
concerning.
don't know if they're true or not.
We don't know.
Sure.
This is all that I'm hearing.
You know, you hear the scuttlebutt, and it makes you feel like really like
nervous.
But who are we trusting? You know, where's our trust here? And so she finally did get the embassy appointment.
So the embassy at the time, I don't know how it is right now, but at the time, you would have to be there at like 5 a.m. to get a number so you can get in when they open the doors at 8.
No way.
So at 5 a.m, we're there getting our number, even though I actually have an interview that day.
She has an
I'm
appointment.
scheduled. I have an appointment that day. But I still have to show up to get that number. We got there and got the number. We showed up at 8 o'clock. You cannot bring anything except for the documents that you have with you. I think they let me bring a book in, but I went in. My mom couldn't go in with me. I went in by myself. You're sitting in this room with just rows of chairs, the windows, you know, where you're going to be interviewed. You're standing there. They're sitting on their little chair and everything, and on that end of things, everything is a nice little office. On this end, it's just sterile.
Maybe like a glorified DMV or something like that.
Yeah. Except with like this thick glass, and you can only pass your papers through the little window. So I got called probably around, that day they were only dealing with fiancé visas and adoption visas. The room was full of people. And they called me up. I don't remember how long I had to wait, but when they called me up, she takes my papers, and I realized they have everything that he has submitted. So she opens both files next to each other, and she starts looking everything, turning page, looking everything. The first thing she said was, well, if you are an interpreter, I should be able to conduct this interview in English. I said, yeah, you can. So when she started asking questions and I actually answered, she was like, oh, you do speak English. I'm like, yeah, we didn't lie.
When they interview me, they're like, oh, you don't speak English.
Oh, I'm sorry, I put that down. I speak American.
So we went through everything, and then she pauses and she starts reading. And now the first thing she did was cancel my tourist visa. So I'm like, okay, if this is...
That's her access to me at that point. That's, to see me.
And if this doesn't work out, it's my access to work in a lot of ways, because a lot of the events that I do, they fly me to Florida because that's where all the big conventions happen. So I'm like, well, this is going to be a problem if I don't get this visa. But I was like, okay, Lord, this is it. It's either you or it isn't. And so she paused. And then she looked up and she said, did you read what he wrote? I was like, no.
Should I have?
Yeah, exactly.
And I was like, oh no, did we write wrong dates? Did we write? I don't know. And she's just looking. You're sure you didn't read this? I'm like, yes, I am sure I didn't read this. She's like, okay. Hold on a second. she walks away and she huddles with everybody else.
Oh no.
And they're huddling and they're going over this. And I just see heads popping up and looking my way and looking back. And I'm thinking, I'm done for.
Yeah.
Maybe they're even going to send me to jail or something. I don't know what we did.
Oh, man.
And then she got back to me and she said, these are the kind of stories that we all signed up for. This is why we do what we do. I can't believe you didn't write this. This is beautiful. I'll make you a copy.
No way.
And she went and made a copy of what he wrote, which I think was just, how did you meet?
Yeah,
Like,
it was all
what's
about the
your
Lord.
story?
It was all about the Lord. I just wrote kind of my testimony of the Lord's moving through it all.
She was like, this is beautiful. This is why we're here. Not all of the stuff that we always see and we always like have to deal with. And so I said, well, here's my part of the story. And she's like, do you have your side of the story? I said, yeah. Can I have it? I'm like, sure, here you go. And she took it and she was like, oh my goodness, I love this. This is awesome. Still, I don't know if you're going to get your visa, but come back at 2:00 and they kept my passport. They kept all the documents, gave me a slip of paper that would allow me into the building again. And I left. And when we came back, we all sat in that room and names kept being called and people kept going to the window and getting their their passport and walking away. And I kept trying to figure out, are they saying yes? Are they saying no? How do I know? How can I tell? There were 3 other fiancé visas that day, and they were all called, and I'm not being called. At some point, the room is empty, and I'm the only one sitting there. And I'm like, okay, this is either really good or really bad.
Yeah.
And then they called me, and they said, okay, here's your passport, here's your visa. You have this many days to travel to the U.S. before the visa expires. You have these many days to get married after you enter the U.S. When you enter the U.S., you're not going to go through the normal windows. You're going to immediately go to one of the officers, and they're going to take you to another room. And you're going to take this folder, and you're not going to open anything. It's a sealed folder that has like the corner cut off, and all of the documents. You can see the documents. You cannot read them, but you can see what the documents are. And you're going to bring all of this with you. This is what's going to let you board the plane and get into the country.
Whoa.
And I was like,
That's intense.
Okay. Yeah, we did it.
Whoa.
we got the interview. I think I traveled the next week.
Yep.
Yeah,
So
the
then
week following.
So we traveled, and that's when I met LL Cool J. I said that earlier.
Yeah.
He was on the flight with us. He probably doesn't rember that.
He's on another podcast talking about you. Yeah. I met this guy on the road.
I was standing there with the Rose, and my friend was with me, and LL Cool J walked by, and he goes, LL Cool J. And I remember I was like, that is LL Cool J. And then I turned around, and Kayla's right there. I was like, oh, here you go. Such a fail. Yeah, so she landed in the States, and now we have to. So our real goal was to get married back in Guatemala. It was a big deal for her mom, for us to walk out of the house and have a wedding in Guatemala. So our plan was to marry in the States and then file for a document. This may not be interesting, called advanced parole. The minute I marry her, now she's my wife, and she's
So my fiancé visa is no longer valid, but I'm not a resident.
she's not a resident yet. So. Because that happens over a course of a month or two after you get married, you file the paperwork for the marriage, and then the temporary permanent residence, which is a whole process as they interview you to make sure that this is not a fraud.
Yeah.
But that it's all the things. So people have told us you can't get advanced parole. It's impossible. And I did do a little research, and I thought, oh, this is actually really hard to get. Advanced parole is basically that window between when you have that card, the green card, and your wedding, which allows you to travel. But you can't get it quickly. It typically is. Yeah. And we're like, oh, well, we have like 3 weeks.
Because they're like, you can
weeks.
leave the country, but you won't be able to come back in.
Yep.
Because you don't have any kind of visa.
Yeah.
Sure.
And you're not eligible for a visa because you just married an American and you're not a resident yet. We haven't vetted you.
So they have the process of this advanced parole. So we ended up driving. I had mentioned to you guys a little earlier, maybe not in this interview, we were just chatting, but about the Homeland Security office in the Capital District. So we went there we're going to apply for advanced parole. So I had been we had been there a few times already because of travels and visas and stuff. So we get in there, and it was late in the day. I think it was like 4 o'clock. And everybody told us you can't get it. So I remember we go to the window there, and it's kind of the same type of a thing in the embassy. It's a secure place. We go to the window. She's like, "Oh, you're applying for advanced parole?" We're like, "Yeah." She's like, "The guy that signs that is here right now. He can do this. He can do this today."
way.
She's like, "You just need a couple photos." And so we're like, "Oh,
Which we
okay."
didn't have.
We didn't have. We're like, "Oh, okay." She's like, "There's a Phase." Wait, I think at the time it was Phase Eckert's. I don't know what it was. Some drugstore. Go down there. They'll do just like a passport photo. So we like hurried down there, hurried back. Got in and we submitted it, and we had it the next day. We had
our
this special document, advanced parole. Oh, the funny thing is too, I think this is interesting. We got married in the New York wedding, or the United States wedding, which is in New York. We did it on a Sunday morning. So because we weren't really planning that wedding as a big one, we just said, let's just do it after church on Sunday. And my pastor was like, let's do it during church.
No
you know
way.
What I'm saying? Yeah. So I led worship. We did a little bit, and then I did worship the
you went
day.
and changed.
We went and changed, and we got married. My family was there. Her family was there, and we did the wedding.
Whoa.
Got advanced parole that next week, and then maybe within the week after that, we traveled to Guatemala, where we were there we did 2 weddings in Guatemala. In Guatemala, you have to do
The church doesn't marry you. It has to be the law.
the civil
So
wedding. Yeah,
it's
so
a
everybody's
civil wedding.
it's a civil ceremony of some. Well, it's a civil document. We made it a ceremony, so we had like a nice dinner. I always say I got married 3 times.
Traditionally, in Guatemala, you don't get like the rehearsal dinner, but traditionally, the groom's family takes care of the civil wedding.
Okay.
Yeah,
So it's usually a little event where everybody's watching you sign this. They read the articles of marriage to you, and then you sign.
everybody signs a prenup in Guatemala.
No way.
We signed a
Basically,
prenup.
you decide what kind of marriage you're going to have.
Yeah, so
if you're going to share, if you're going to have separate property leading to the wedding, and then community of property after getting married, if you're going to maintain separate property throughout your marriage, and like everything will be separate.
Or everything you bring in becomes one.
together.
Yeah.
So that was what we signed because we had nothing, and, and so
Everything together.
Yeah, that's it. We have everything together, babe. And so so then we were married. So there it is.
And here we are.
Here we are, 22 years
7
later.
children later.
7 kids later.
Wow.
Yeah.
So how long was it from meeting in November to getting married?
We met November 2nd, and we got married November 30th of the following year.
Okay. Wow.
We never went on a date, guys.
No way.
We never went on a date.
No kidding.
Ever to this day.
We don't do that.
Tonight's actually gonna be your first date after this.
I think that's actually interesting though, because you know that's kind of the default assumption
Yeah.
is that you got to take them on a date, you have to get to know them.
We sat in a living room with people.
Surrounded
by people, in and out, and just talked.
The other ways to get to know somebody.
That was the best.
Yes.
And you had very intentional conversation.
Yes.
You talked about the deep things, the things that matter.
Yes.
Yeah, there's no doubt. What do you think of family? What do you think of parenting? What do you think of, how many kids do you want? What do you think of education? What do you think of politics? I mean, all this stuff that kind of was like interesting to us.
Now I'm curious because, particularly from your perspective, Keila, that oftentimes is viewed in today's dating culture as being too intense, coming on too strong. Like, well, what are you trying to do? Like, marry me right away? What was your perspective when he was asking all those very intentional questions so early on before anything was even defined for you guys?
Well, again, I was 28 and I wanted to get married, and it wasn't a desperate thing. It was somebody showed up and said, "You are worth enough that I'm willing to walk through any hoop to be a part of your life. Meet your parents, I'll meet your parents. Submit myself to questioning by everybody that you know and everybody vetting me, I'll do that. I'm not interested in wasting your time." Again, he was clear. There was clarity off the bat, which had never been the case. There had been, "Oh, so-and-so, I think so-and-so's interested in you. So I think he's going to ask you out." So then he asks me out. Then we have coffee. Nothing is ever
Clear.
You walk away from that and there's no clarity. And if anybody's actually interested, it's because, he like made a pass and tried to kiss me.
Sure.
But he never said anything.
Yep.
So what does this even mean? Are we an item or are we not? And the next day, maybe you're just normal. And like all of the romantic stuff that happens, it just led to nothing for me. So I actually needed and wanted somebody who was willing to put his life on the line and say, what do I need to do to have you be my wife?
Yeah.
Yeah, and I didn't want to get into some type of relationship that had no clarity and like goals and vision. It's like, what are we doing? I really mean this. I didn't want to waste our time, and I would consider it a waste of time if we just had fluffy love letters, which we did have. You know what I'm saying? And that was just for our own like, oh, I feel good because somebody likes me. No, I feel like that would be just a disservice and.
Yeah, I think that's such an important part of this story for a lot of guys to hear. Like, you moved forward without really knowing where she was at.
Oh, I had no clue.
And so many guys, that is like a really hard bridge to cross. Guys just want some level of certainty. Like, what's she feeling? Is she very likely to say yes? Or what? Where are her feelings at? A lot of guys will just wait around and not do anything or delay moving. But you were just like, and for guys that is uncomfortable.
Yeah, it is.
But that's what guys need.
Yeah, we can't be so intimidated by the rejection that we actually don't step out. We become burdened by paralysis. It's like, no, we actually have to. You put your neck out there. It's what we do, and we continue to do that. And there's just.
And I had people, saying, "Oh, she was desperate. She was just getting old and wanting to get married, and so she."
Have you seen that guy? He's just bowling over there.
Do you know he bowls?
I actually, my best friend, I bless her because I know that she meant well, but she sat with me and she said before, days before the wedding, she's like, "Are you sure? Because if you're not, I'll go take the hit. I'll go tell people that you're not interested. I'll go break off with him for you."
Oh.
But
Very
like,
commendable of her.
are you sure that this is what you want to do? Are you sure this is? And I'd be like, yeah. But I also was sure. I've seen enough marriages, and I had seen enough around me to know that he was not going to make me happy. He was not going to complete my life. My life was fulfilled because of what Jesus did on the cross for me. And as long as I lived for him, my life was done. Like, I was good. And if he wanted me to marry someone and do life together and have the same vision together, then he was going to make it happen. And in order for it to happen, it had to be proved. It couldn't be get the signals, read between the lines. And I met great guys that I had at some point in my life correspondence with. Somebody actually on an occasion, he hadn't met my family. We lived in separate countries, and we had gone to school together, so we were writing emails at the time. And he said, my family is going to go to Florida for, the holidays, and I would really like it if you went with them. And I was like, what do you mean? Like, the people that I have never met, you have never met my family? I don't feel comfortable with that. And he had never said, I'm interested in you. I would like for my family to get to know you. It was this like weird land of you haven't even told me you like me. So when you have somebody putting everything on the line, it's serious. And I felt like I can't say no. I can just shut this down and no harm done. He wouldn't have broken my heart because we didn't entangle ourselves emotionally. And there wouldn't have been any, it would have been disappointing. It would have been,
If we broke up now, though, right?
She'd be disappointed.
You love me, right?
I would cry for a little bit.
I'm just being silly.
I love it.
I'm just thinking, because I was thinking then, no, if she said no at that point, I would have been a little, sad.
There would have been a lot more nights at the bowling alley.
I'd still be there.
Still be there today.
I'd go pro, man.
Well, one of the things that I think your story highlights is that there's no one way of pursuing a romantic relationship. And clearly, God was very involved in orchestrating your relationship.
Sure.
But you both had a role to play in it.
Yes.
a response on each of your own accord
100%.
that you had to walk through. And what would you say to young men, young women today who want to be in a relationship, who want to be married, but are so overcome with wanting the love story, the emotions, the experience.
Yeah.
They want all of that, and the idea of being so intentional, inviting outside counsel, not even going on a date.
Yeah.
Like,
which wasn't necessarily planned.
Sure,
it
it just
wasn't like,
happened.
oh, we won't go on dates.
Yeah.
It's just the way things played out.
there's like a rubric for modern dating, which is like, you do these certain number of dates before, then you state your intentionality, and then there's like these cultural, moments that you level up to as your relationships gets more serious, but nobody knows when those are supposed to be or what they're supposed to look like or how they're supposed to happen.
Yeah.
So what would you say to, a man or woman who wants to be married, but also has that desire for like I don't know what to call it. Basically like the chick flick story of like the Hallmark story of falling in love.
Yeah. I've always said, and this maybe goes into the marriage, but a match made in heaven, needs to be maintained on earth. Everything happens in the dust of the earth. Thorns and thistles.
Yeah.
And so, if as you pursue it, fluff comes. I think that's like, meaning there's like great joy and love in our relationship, but we weren't out to seek that. We definitely at moments are like tickled when there's like little things that the Lord does, like little things that I feel like are that Hallmark movie-esque stuff. But we also knew that this isn't, the Lord is just leading us in the midst of it all. And we weren't pursuing that. I definitely, I don't know if you have any thoughts on that.
Yeah, I think sometimes that stuff can take away from the stuff that really matters. Because if you sit across the table with a guy that you like and he likes you, and you're both putting your best foot forward, not that you shouldn't, but you're not seeing them in the context of their life. Yeah. And you're going to be living with this guy in the context of his life. Yeah. How does he treat his mom? How does he treat people around him? That matters. And it matters a lot more than whether he brought me roses to the date or not. That, whether there was violin music playing in the background. All that stuff has enriched our life on the other side of the wedding. When we realized, I think it was the first Valentine's Day, because we came back from Guatemala in January. And so Valentine's Day, we're like, what are we going to do? It's like our first Valentine's Day. And we were in the middle of playing music in the living room and both realizing we've never had a date. This is our first date.
No way.
Like as you would define a date.
Yep.
And that was
the first one.
Take away.
At that point, we'd kind of already been in Guatemala.
Well, obviously we had our honeymoon and everything, but like the explicit purpose of we're gonna get dressed out go out to for a date.
I typically just go out to do two things: steak and bowling.
What should
As one does.
That's what does. Well, I was gonna say too. I think sometimes, and I've seen this. I've seen young ladies, particularly even walking with people from the international world, especially when it comes to in marrying an American. You have this grandiose idea of like, what America looks like, because that's been promoted to you on TV. And the reality is, like, I was super grateful that Keila, she needed to see where I live. She needed to see I didn't have much, or didn't need to see, hey, I'm just serving the Lord, and you want to come along for the ride? That kind of mattered, because I think sometimes we can have that pie in the sky idea, or people can, and certainly I've seen that happen where it's like, oh, there's a pie in the sky here, American, you know what I mean? It's like and if you marry somebody based upon without seeing them in their real world, I do think that does need to be fleshed out. But that's why people are involved and people are around you, and you can ask questions and stuff like that. Yeah.
And who you marry matters. I've had people that I've walked with that I'm like, you're choosing your mission field. You're either going to marry a man who loves the Lord and is going to give everything for him, and you're going to go along with him, or you're going to spend your life praying him into a deeper relationship with God and praying him into a vision for God. And, it's not necessarily a bad thing. I've seen great marriages come out of situations like those, but not without the heartache of, we were going to go conquer the world together for Jesus. And now we're not,
Yeah.
because he doesn't, he doesn't have that vision. So I knew what he was living for. But I was able to see that because I saw him in his element. I saw him in his ministry. I saw him in his daily life.
Yeah.
Before he sat across the table from me and, made googly eyes and said how much I like you.
Yep. Yeah.
Googly eyes. Googly eyes. All right.
Yeah, that's such an important part of it, being able to see beyond just what someone's presenting to you, right?
Yes.
Like he can present himself in a great way or an engaging way, but for you to really know, is this who I want to partner with? Being able to see what's around him, right? What's his
Yeah.
world like?
Yeah. And who does he surround himself with? Who does he listen to? Is he teachable? Will he accept, is he humble? Will he accept correction from people that matter?
And I had mentioned earlier when I talked to the pastor that she was living with, and I said, he said, hey, just so you know, she's lived with me, and I can't say one negative thing about her. And it was not a put on. It was like a genuine reflection of somebody that's been in the trenches and says, she's the real deal. Like that means a lot. And that meant a lot. I didn't realize I needed it at that moment because I thought I figured it out. But those are type of things that's like, oh, that's a great, he wasn't trying. I know him. If there was an issue, he would have said, just so you know. You know what I'm saying? That you might want to consider this.
Yeah.
So
Now, one of the things we talk about often on the podcast is that for men, it's the beauty and the attraction to a woman that often draws their attention and then pursuit.
Yeah.
And so you mentioned back at the beginning of the story just how beautiful Keila was. You were captivated by her beauty.
Yeah.
How did you sort through moving to intentionality and like seeking out like the deeper questions with her? Because so often men don't even think to go that route because they're just stuck on how beautiful she is and just wanting to be around her and with her.
Of course. I mean, I certainly was. I was taken aback when I first saw her. It really was that kind of moment for me. It was pretty special. But I think given the fact of knowing my own soul, walking through things, recognizing the fact that, hey, I don't want to live superficially. It's a real personal thing. It's like, I just know the flesh. I know me. It's I'm not interested in even playing that game with myself. I was captivated with who she was and her beauty, but I recognize that beauty is not forever. But a woman who fears the Lord is to be, what's the verse say? Is worthy to be praised? I don't know.
I think so.
That's it. But then that scripture in Proverbs 31, she is clothed with strength and dignity and can laugh at the days that come. That's something that I've always seen in her. I just love that about her. So that I try to find that nugget.
Yeah. Well, I mean, that is a key takeaway right there for guys to recognize, yes, the woman you're interested in will be physically beautiful.
Sure.
But really purpose to recognize that inner beauty.
Yeah.
Right? If that is there, that's really what's going to make the difference.
Yeah, it would be odd if you're not attracted. I would say, I rethink that. If you can't find her attractive, I think that's, or vice versa. I think that it's different with girls and guys. I understand the dynamics of that, but at the end of the day,
Attraction matters.
It sure
Both
does.
ways.
Of course.
Both ways.
God makes it that way.
Yeah, if somebody says to us, oh, we don't struggle with that, I'm like, that is a problem. If you don't struggle with that, then maybe we should revisit this relationship.
Yeah.
Mary, you're not I think attraction definitely is part of it. And so it's funny, I do find you more beautiful every day. It's weird how
it really is amazing how God does things, because you think, wow, forever. But it really, you realize it does keep getting better. You just grow around each other and it keeps getting better.
And you grow together, and we lean into that, and we life is hard, you know what I'm saying, and challenging, but we're in it together and we're running the race together, and I think that we're able to spur one another on.
Yeah.
But,
Now, in your story, it's obviously unique because you pursued a woman from Guatemala.
Yeah.
And that provides a whole set of new hoops or barriers that you have to overcome.
Yeah.
And, you went from, having to psych yourself up to be able to go say goodbye to her in the car to like literally just showing up in Guatemala and her family not speaking Spanish.
So true. It's so true.
So, I mean, that's an epic transformation there.
It is.
But like a lot of men are intimidated by just the simple next step.
Yeah.
Or they're intimidated to even meet her family or talk to her dad.
Yeah.
So what would you advise men today when it comes to, really overcoming some difficulties, unknowns, being in awkward environments, things that you're not prepared for?
Great. I don't put it off till tomorrow. I think do it today. I mean, I love the idea of just getting things done. And for me, it was really hard. I mean, there were hard moments, but I don't like living under the pressure of something hard later. I like to just get it done. So that is helpful to me. I think it just helps me press through things. I'm like, oh, okay, I got to do this hard thing.
Sure.
It is intimidating. I think it's meant to be. I think it's partly the making of a man. It's partly and maybe some guys it's like easy for, and I look back and I think, man, if I was who I was then, I would, not that I would do it differently, I think I'd do it the same, but I would definitely, my confidence would be different back then. I lacked confidence because there were no results to base them off of. I just had to go by faith and by action. And I think that was a part of what probably attracted her to me, and trying to walk it through. I'm not saying that's not I do think the principles prescriptive, of the honor in the midst of it all. It doesn't mean that for every situation it looks the same, but certainly, leaning into opportunities and stepping forward and, going to greet her grandmother, who honestly, she was an intimidating woman, and I loved her, and I was able to quickly, and maybe God makes me that way too, but I definitely was able to, I won her quickly. She loved me. And then her brothers always said, you could say things to Mamita that nobody else could say.
That's all.
And I was like, all right, that's fun. But just trying to break down those icy barriers and try to prayerfully walk that through. Yeah, I think it was hard. I mean, there are definitely moments of talking to her that first time was hard because I just didn't know where it was going to go. Asking her about, do you want to pursue this train? This train's moving. That was like, I think she's going to say yes, but I didn't really know. Even the embassy visit, I joke. It would have been hard for me, but there would have been, in that trajectory in my life, I would have had to make I hadn't made that decision because I trust the Lord to work it out, and He did. But had she been rejected at the embassy, very possible I would have kept
Pivoted.
Pursuing. Of course, because I felt like it was the Lord. It's like Lord. But that's why we landed where we landed, if that makes sense. I just never had to cross that. I was really nervous, though. I was really it was out of my hands. I was like, I don't know what's going to happen here. I've done everything I can do to press it forward. But that was a hard year, but it's man-making year. It was like helped me grow in some ways and not be intimidated by the outcome. Yeah, but just walk it forward.
That's really good. Any advice, Keila, that you would have for men who are interested in pursuing a woman, like things from your perspective?
Do the hard thing. Don't put it all on the line. Don't be easily intimidated. So go meet the dad. Go let the dad meet you. And I understand that not everybody, not every dad will necessarily be as involved. But go prove yourself to their family first. Like court the family. Get to know them, and also figure out is this dynamic? Am I going to fit in this dynamic? Is this something that because these people are going to be a part of her life. And do I want them to be a part of my life? Do I want this dynamic in my life? And the only way you get to know that is by spending time together. But if you meet the dad and the first meeting doesn't go well, maybe go back to the drawing board and try again. Give it a little bit of time. Check back in and say, so you said no. Is this a hard no? Is there something that I could do to make it a yes? Or, and take those cues.
I just think also it goes back to the look deeper, it's the idea that she was worth fighting for, but I knew it, and I knew that, and I think sometimes, I think we can get caught up with, if I could, what's worth fighting for is companionship. And I just want you, find the gold and go dig it out, right? It's the idea that it's going to be hard work. Who was it? The the guy that's digging for gold, and then he's like, "You're moving a lot of dirt," and he goes, "Yeah, you got to move a lot of dirt to get the gold." I mean, the idea is, yeah, you got to move a lot. There's a lot of work to be done, and I love what you said. Like, are we going to be a good fit and a good? Yeah, that it takes work, to blend families and blend those things. It's hard work.
Yeah.
So anyway,
And I, from my experience with people who supposedly were interested in me, I wasn't worth enough for them to even consider meeting my parents. I wasn't worth enough for them to actually look me in the eye and say, I'm interested in you. You are worth something. So the fact that he was willing to talk to somebody who was not related to me and do everything that he said, and then get a passport, and then go meet everybody, go through the gauntlet, and then still say, hey, I respect what this can mean for you. And I think this is God, and I'm all in. But what do you think?
When I landed that moment, when I asked her that, I foresaw too, like, life is hard.
Yeah.
This is hard. Marriage is hard. I don't want you to resent me. I don't want to be the blame, like oh, I came here because you did all. It's like, no, you got to tell me that it's God. But when I landed at that time, there was a song. I don't think it was actually what came out well before that. It was by a guy named Wayne Watson. I think that's the guy's name. And the song goes, the chorus, it was in my head. This is your time. This is your dance. This is your moment. Leave nothing to chance. And I remember that was, this is your time. This is your dance. This is your moment. Leave nothing to chance. And that song was stuck in my head. I'm not going to leave it to chance. Well, we'll just see how things work out. No, I'm going to live on purpose. I'm not going to live. I'm going to live on vision, on focus. And she was worth. Guys, every day I'm like, I'm so grateful I married you. You're an amazing woman. So
that is awesome.
Yeah.
Well, guys, it's been such a pleasure having you here on the show.
Thank you.
I mean, I feel like we're gonna have to get you back just to interview with more questions, because you guys have a well of wisdom that we can draw from. But gentlemen, you heard it here first. Buy a bowling ball. That is key.
Have it engraved with your name.
That is key to success if you want to be married.
Put a name on it.
But yes, honestly,
funny.
guys, thank you so much. Appreciate it.
Thank you, guys.